So tonight we have a huge crowd. Thank you for coming. We're here to welcome Professor Rabbi Arthur Gross Schaefer. He's a full professor of business law, ethics, mysticism, and sustainability at Loyola Marymount University. Go Lions. He's listed at the Princeton Review as one of the top 300 university professors across the United States. He is a consultant for nonprofits, a published author, and a speaker on a myriad of subjects. The rabbi is a spiritual leader for the community Shoal of Montecito and Santa Barbara, California, and is the congregational rabbi among countless other communities around. He co-founded the Avi Schaefer Fund in memory of his son, and if that isn't enough, he has crafted so far 3 books in his Rabbi Elijah Daniels Mystery Series, including tonight's book, The Rabbi Wore a Collar. So please give a warm welcome to Rabbi Arthur Gross Schaefer.
What a great sight. Thank you all for being here. These are all friends. I love this. This is great. College. Whoa. So this is such a great journey, and thank you for all coming. I do want 2 people to help me a little bit. Who here would be happy to read about a page-and-a-half prologue
Deborah.
with energy? Dee Dee is 1. We already have Dee Dee. We have 2, and now we have 3.
Joe.
Okay. Could the 3 of you please come up?
Before we start this, Rabbi, I had to ask you though.
Yes. By the way, Michael's one who organized all this, and he is really nice. Yeah. Go, Michael.
Wait, I owe you $1 for that, so thank you. How the heck did a rabbi become a mystery author?
Whoa. Okay, here's what happened. I was the rabbi initially here at CBB, right? So now I was there, right? And I liked learning about other traditions. So I had a chiropractor at that time that was going to a sweat lodge. I'd never been to a sweat lodge, had no idea what it was. And I said, let me go with you. So we went to the sweat lodge, middle of Ventura, really a long road. And there I really bonded with the Native Americans who were in that community. They had left the reservation because there were drug problems, there was abuse problems, and they found a preservation on private land that they owned, sort of. And I love that. And then they were accused of by Ventura County of violating zoning, building, and every other code there could be. And they were going to be forced off their land. They didn't know what not to do. I kind of represented them, let us say. I used a story, by the way, about the sukkah, which I'll tell later. And I got the land re-registered as an experimental site. So it really worked.
Wow.
That was good. And that's the whole Rabbi wore Moccasins is based on that. And then one of their elders walked into a Santa Barbara police station, gave his gun to the police sergeant. It had been fired, totally, and said he just killed his wife. This part's true. And the public defender eventually called me and said, the elder would like you to be part of our defense team. And I said, what is the defense theory? And he goes, what theory? It's his gun, he confessed, it's his fingerprints, there's no defense theory. And I actually thought of one at that moment, but I didn't want to share it. And the public defender said, wait, you got a theory, don't you? And I would never share it. By the way, later on, I was on an airplane coming back from Sacramento. I was speaking there or something. And I sat next to somebody who happened to be the elder, who was also in charge of the casino. The native, and said, you're the rabbi, aren't you? I go, what rabbi? The rabbi who would not give the theory. And he said, I'm a lawyer. He's been convicted. Would you share the theory? And I did. He said, that could have worked. I go, I know. So the book came out of my dealing with, did I feel correct in what I had done? So it was not meant to be a murder mystery. It was about telling the story of what happened. And so that's why I did it. And I enjoyed it so much. That's why the other 2 books came.
Wow.
But they're all the books are primarily 80% accurate. Okay, the rabbi is always intelligent. Not exactly. but they're about that. So it became actually a way for me to go through a very difficult ethical time and to see if I felt correct in what I had done, which I did, by the way. But I needed the book to help me do that particular journey. And then the others, and Lori has often commented that she's never seen me happier, except when I'm with her, of course. And that's true. It's like a vacation for me. But they take like 5 to 10 years to write, because I have other projects I'm doing, as you all know. Okay, the three of you now, please come on up. Okay. Good.
I can read the moccasins one.
Yes, okay, hold on. So you have moccasins?
I have moccasins.
Okay. What you guys are doing, whether you knew it or not, you're reading the prologue. They're very short. Okay. So which prologue? You'll do. Okay.
I'll do moccasins.
You got Mark. You got. Okay. And you have the newest one.
She's got it. I bought it.
Okay. Good idea.
I know.
Okay. Okay. So.
Arthur, sit down and enjoy it.
I'm too excited to sit down. I mean, look at all my, these are really good friends here. This is amazing. Okay, so Moccasins was written first, but actually, technically, my ordering, the collar goes first. And the reason for that, by the way, is when I was writing this in Germany, that's the Moccasins one, they said the rabbi has to have something that makes him a defect, some problem with him. And we talked about that. They said, well, you can't have a wife that's living. So in the first one, the wife is gone. So, but in the last one, she's actually alive. So I want to read that one right now. So this is from. Okay, you ready?
I am.
Oh no, you have the color. Good. Okay, go.
Do you want me to stand and do
I
it?
want you to stand and deliver. Yes.
All right.
Right there in the center. Yeah.
Okay. Very honored, by the way.
Thank you.
Very honored.
Do you all know who this is, by the way? Oh, she's a chiropractor. She likes to hurt me. That's amazing and spiritual. Very deeply spiritual. Okay, go.
Prologue, the burning cross. He could smell wood burning. He then felt the heat coming from just above him. He tried to look up. He could not lift his head. He even tried to stand, but the rope encasing his arms, legs, and neck was constricting and choking him. Then he heard a voice. You thought we would hide you as one of us. You thought we would protect you. You thought we were your friends. You were wrong. See the cross of fire above you? The voice continued as the rope was loosened. The rabbi was now able to view the large cross enveloped in flames overhead. Soon you will be cleansed on that cross, and you will die far away from your wife and your daughter. And no one will care. We have killed many Jews before. What's one more? Then he heard another voice, one he knew well. Wait, let's give him one more chance. Rabbi Elijah Daniels, become one of us in truth. Do not hide yourself from us. Rabbi Elijah Daniels, renounce your faith and join us. We are the one true faith. No longer shall you be Rabbi Elijah Daniels. You will be known as Father Elijah, a Jesuit, our brother. The rabbi knew this voice of his friend. The words were uttered by Father John Sims. But these statements resurrected echoes from the Spanish Inquisition when thousands of Jews were burned alive. Rabbi Daniels opened his eyes, moved his arms, and quickly lifted his head. He could now move freely, but his body was still wrapped in fear. He quickly realized he was in the safety of his bedroom. Despite what his eyes were telling him, this dream felt so real, and he was terrified. He turned to his right. On the wall was part of the blue wedding canopy his wife Leah had woven. He quickly turned to his left, and there she was sleeping, oblivious to his terror. He lifted his right hand and felt the sweat beading on his forehead. He shifted his eyes across the bedroom, seeing a piece of luggage. There was the packed red suitcase, standing next to the television. ready for his trip. The flight was several hours away. He could still cancel.
The aspect of this book, and I'll tell you, it's again very truthful. I teach at Loyola Marymount, right? 43 years I've been there. I know a lot of Jesuits. It's a Jesuit university. I know a lot of Jesuits. And in 1985, so a long time ago, Reagan's president, and he creates the Contras to attack the Sandinistas in Nicaragua. And he and the ADL basically have been working together and have said that the Sandinistas are anti-Semitic because they forced the Jews to leave and they burnt down the synagogue. And the Jesuits, plus some other professor, going down to Nicaragua, and they say to me, "You got to come with us." I go, "That sounds like fun." And I actually call the ADL, and they say, "If you go down as a rabbi, you will not come back alive."
Yeah.
That's what ADL said to me in '85. That this is really, and the book is, and I called the State Department saying, "Okay, if I go down to Nicaragua, anything's going to happen?" And they said, "Well, the odds are you will not come back alive." I go to Lori, and she says, "Well, at least make out a will." Yeah, long discussion. And eventually I go with to the 7 Jesuits going. I say, "I'll go down with you if I go as one of you, and I'll become a Jesuit in effect. In other words, because I'll be with you, everyone will presume. I'm not going to wear a collar or anything. I'm not going to keep celibate. Those things make no sense to me." But I asked them to swear their lives to me. And all of them swore their lives to me, that they protect me with their lives. As the book goes, by the way, Lori, as she was editing the book, she said, "You really did that? You went to the cemetery 12 o'clock midnight alone?" I go, "Yeah." And then she said, "And you really eventually told someone, a Sandinista soldier, that you were a rabbi?" Well, sort of. And so as she's reading, she goes, "I can't believe you did all these things." So the book is based on it. This book has 2 murders. And one last thing, I told the president of Loyola that when this comes out, there's a good chance that the Archbishop of LA, and I'm being serious now, will call him up and tell him to fire me. And I said to him, "When that happens, just tell him you'll get rid of me in a year, because I plan to retire." So, any questions about that first book? That's the one that's out just now. Okay, and then we have Fedora.
Okay.
Oh no, let's do Moccasins.
Moccasins?
Yes, I already told you about Moccasins, why I wrote Moccasins. Go. By the way, a part owner, you're a co-owner, right?
What? Chaucers?
Yeah.
No.
Not yet. You want
I'm
But she's-
Deborah Leah. Hi.
Notice what she said, Deborah Leah. She's cool.
D.
Okay, we're ready.
To the center.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. So this is Moccasins.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. My first one.
All right, now I didn't practice this, so. Rabbi Daniels stood under a pine tree looking down at the black marble marker for his wife, Leah Daniels. He often visited his wife and always followed the Jewish tradition of bringing small stones. He got down on his right knee and fished in his pocket for the stones. The rabbi carefully placed them around the marker and then slowly stood to recite the memorial prayer, the Kaddish. However, when he looked back down at Leah's marker, the small stones he had put on the marker had become large rocks. This made no sense to him. He bent over and picked up the first rock and carried it to a nearby red wheelbarrow. He then returned to pick up the next stone, and then the next, and he placed each one in the wheelbarrow. When all the stones were now piled on top of each other, he heard a drum beating. And when he looked at all the stones in the wheelbarrow, the shape resembled a mountain, one he had not seen, but one he was sure existed somewhere. The rabbi's eyes opened. He realized he was in his bed, at home. He turned to tell Leah about his dream, only to be reminded that she died. A tear fell from his eyes as he recounted the dream at Leah's memorial, trying not to forget this strange but somehow important dream of gathered stones that resembled a mountain. And he was curious why he had heard a drumbeat. He wondered what the dream meant. Was it a message from God? Was it part of his people's consciousness, or was it his own mind trying to tell him something? Maybe it was just to tell him he should buy a red wheelbarrow. No, that could not be it. And for some strange reason, he knew that he would understand the meaning of this dream if only he was willing to find out.
So that's the one, because for me, it's if I was willing to really go into this in depth, but I understand my decision, but also I learned so much from Native American people. It was an amazing experience. And also, you know, I teach meditation. One of the first meditations I ever learned was how to do the Shema in a way that would control my breathing. Because if you've ever been to a sweat lodge, it gets really hot. I mean, really hot. And you kind of see people leaving, and you kind of wonder why you're not leaving. And what got me through was that meditation. But it was also the spiritual connection that was very special. So that, I love that one. Okay, Fedora, which I wear right now. By the way, I was going to wear moccasins, just to make it moccasins, Fedora, no collar though. And I was going to, so I put on my slippers that looked like moccasins to me, and Lori said, don't look like moccasins, they look like slippers. Okay, so Rabbi wore Fedora. Okay, go.
Prologue, the dream. The eye sockets bored into Rabbi Daniel's eyes. He tried to move but couldn't. The left arm of the skeleton began to rise. There were no muscles and no sinew. Yet the white bones continued moving toward the rabbi, and there was something in the hand. It was hard to make out, but it looked like a dollar bill with red writing, and there were words coming out of the skeleton's clenched mouth. Foreign words. Maybe Arabic? Yes, but also German. As the arm moved higher and the skull began to move toward the rabbi, and the voice, which sounded feminine, continued, he pushed himself as far away from the arm and the skull as possible. He realized he had been crouching, but fell back into the dirt. Slowly, unsteadily, he stood and saw that he was in a cemetery. The stone markers were old and ravaged by time, and on top of the stones were Jewish symbols, a six-pointed star, two hands raised in blessing. There were also faded Hebrew letters indicating dates of birth and death. But as he looked at the markers, the names vanished, blown to dust by the elements. Yet near the bottom of each marker were words describing the dead as a husband, a wife, a grandparent. And yet the writing was in German. Below it, the day and year of death. He froze and then realized that all the markers had the same year of death, 1933. The year Hitler came to power. It was that year, he knew, when many German communities stopped allowing new burials in Jewish cemeteries. He looked back to where the skeleton had been and found it covered by a pile of dirt. And the mound had a freshly made marker in Arabic and German. The year carved into the stone was 2016. Rabbi Daniel's eyes snapped open. He was in his bedroom. The unmoving white ceiling fan, the handwritten, hand-cut ketubah framed on the wall, and the neglected exercise bike by the window. He was drenched in sweat. He needed to share this dream. He turned to tell Leah, but the right side of the bed was empty. He always seemed to forget. She had died many years before. Who could he tell? No one. He was alone and frightened.
What is interesting about that book and that part of it is when I was teaching it, I taught in Bonn, Germany twice, part of LMU's extension. But in this book, the rabbi is stuck with a group of evangelical students from maybe a place called, I don't know, Westmont. They did change the name. And what happens is they start to learn to respect each other and learn from each other. But what happened, in real sense, there were 4 times when I came across Jewish cemeteries without even expecting it. That particular one was the first one. I got off at a stop, the wrong stop, which in Germany it happens because I can't read German. But it was strange. I got off and I thought to myself, there must be a reason for this, which I often do Kabbalistically, but it was really strong. I looked across the street, and there was the opening to a Jewish cemetery. And I went inside, had not been taken care of. And eventually what happens is at the end, which I really did, I had all the students come from Loyola, but this will be the evangelicals in the book, and we helped to clean the cemetery. But the cemetery plays a very important role. Okay, who has ever gotten $1 from me with writing on it? Anyone? Thank you. What was that for?
To pass it on to someone who
Pass
needed
it on. It's called tzedakah dollar. So that plays a key role in the murder mystery. Anyway, okay. So now you've heard about all three. The goal is that this becomes a trilogy, as you see. And yes, I want to make sure that if you want to buy all three, that they be much a cheaper version, because the publisher actually sets the cost. I just kind of do that. And by the way, I know some of you have already bought the other two. Thank you. Thank you. But these have all been re-edited. The new preface there's been some changes. Not significant. If you have the books, they're basically fine. But these are a little bit different. The covers have been different. So my publisher wants to say it's better for you to buy all three. And I want to say thank you for coming. Any questions right now? Because then we'll do the signing. But any questions anybody has? Yes, Ghana.
You've given me $1 when I went to the East Coast, but I don't remember any writing on it.
I usually put the word tzedakah. But also, I gave away so many that I said no more within the United States. They had to be traveled
This was a long time
outside, yes. But I usually keep dollar bills to do that. Itzik, by the way, he created the vigil last night. That was his idea, and we thank him for that. He's also my, he's the executive director, school director for our shul, created the camp Chavarim, and is also a mensch, except for this question. Yes, that's
I just wanted to make a quick comment. The first two books are 22 years that I'm hearing Rabbi Arthur's sermons. So if you didn't read the first two books, that's what it was. 22 years hearing this. This is the third one. Hopefully, but
Thank you, Itzik.
Is there a title for the fourth book yet?
Right. Well, what Lori wants me to do is, she actually wants me to take, when I give out the dollars to people, I always ask them to tell me what they did. And for many of them, they really take it very seriously. Think about it. They decide it gives more meaning to their actual trip of what they're going to do. So it's actually pretty exciting. And so she would like me to write a book about the tzedakah dollar and maybe 10 of those trips. Now, one of them, by the way, when I gave it out, was at someone was traveling, I think, to Chile. This was many years ago, and I gave him tzedakah dollar, and he had to go to one of those meetings for animals, like the Lions Club or one of those types of clubs. And he went to it, and he said, "My crazy rabbi gave me $1. Give it somewhere. What do you think?" And they said, "Well, we're raising money to create a small little medical center. So we'll do that." And everyone there gave money. He took it back to his chapter here and told them. They said, "We're going to match that." And then they had a competition, which actually built the center. That's a good story. The other ones are very different, so I've been thinking about that, and that might be the fourth one. So we will see. That's what Lord would like.
But no murder in it.
No murders here. Not for the $1, no.
So maybe it would
It's
say
on
the
film
rabbi
now.
wants
It's on
a
film.
pouch.
Maybe we could do that. One of
A
Lori's.
woven tzedakah
Any
pouch.
any other questions?
Here's the question.
Yes.
There's two questions
John,
in
yes.
one. So Rabbi, recently our son had a bar mitzvah, and Rabbi gave him his spiritual instruction, and there was like, on a Sunday there were kids before us lined up, kids after us lined up. So number one is like, how do you find the time and how do you find the energy? I mean, it's hard to do the book and the energy.
Yeah. I really think about that too, and sort of Lori says it's time to go to bed. I think it's because I have a partner who's also, with all the work that she does, how does she find the energy? And I think we support each other in that regard. And I think writing the murder mystery has been such a joy. I really go to a different place when I'm writing it. And also, it's not about the blood and guts. My books don't have that type of blood and guts. It's about that you're teaching another religious tradition. You're learning from each other. And part of my goal has always been pluralism, to respect other communities. And that's why, again, at our shul, as a lot of you know, I bless all the non-Jewish attendees, because I want to thank them for being part of our community. And I try, as a lot of you know, we have a peace garden in our son's honor. When he was killed by a drunk driver, Loyola came to me and they said, "What do you want?" And I said, "What do you mean, what do I want?" "Well, we'd like to do something for your son." I go, "You want to raise money, it'll eventually go to Loyola, and I know you got I'm not going to do that." And they go, no, you're not hearing me. We want to do something for you. It's our cost. And I said, "I'd like a peace garden, an interfaith peace garden at the Jesuit University." And they said, "Absolutely." And Lori designed it basically, and I got the quotes, and it's been one of those special places on campus. And so I think it's because there's a meaning to it. The odds of my making money on these books is not great. I mean, I got all of you, but we'll see. But it's not about that. It's because I love the idea of teaching and learning from other people.
Well, we love you, Rabbi.
So, any last questions? If not, we're about to start signing. Any last question? No, is that a hand or no? Okay, no hand. Okay. And by the way, it's amazing for me to see so many of you who never have a hard time being quiet. This is weird for me. So anyways, I want to thank you all. This is such a joy. And now, if you have books you'd like me to sign, I'd be honored to do that.
One more
Thank you all
time.
very, very much for your time.